And welcome to Stanford here on a beautiful day. I'm Brian Jones here with Tyler Kinley, part of Next Gen Network's coverage of the 2013 Stanford Invite. We've got an exciting matchup for you today. We've got Arizona facing off against Texas. Two surprise teams this year. Texas doing very well at the beginning of the season. Arizona, nobody really expected them to be here. Tyler, what can you tell me about Texas?
Well, Texas has been a surprise. They started out with some great early season results. They have the next-gen, well-known player, Will Driscoll. And something that, another unexpected thing is that Will has not been the focal point of their offense or defense. Drawing in tough matchups, he oftentimes takes a more passive role, allowing his team, the depth of his team, to show and to show success for them. He's willing to step up when necessary, but it has not been the Will Driscoll show that you'd think it would be, given his skill and athleticism. On the flip side, Arizona has also been a bit of a surprise. They are a very experienced team. A lot of seniors have come up and played together, and it really shows, especially in their zone defense. They are very fluid. They'll switch positions. It's hard for teams to figure out, forces a lot of passes, and they're aggressive in smart spots. Both these teams, however, today have underperformed relative to their seed. They came in as the 1 and 2 seeds within their pool, and both teams have gone 0-2. The bottom two seeds, Tufts and UNCW, are both 2-0. These teams are both looking for their first win of the day. This is an exciting matchup between two upstarts that really are battling for legitimacy.
And Pool D, the pool of death, as commonly said. Here you see, again, Texas and Arizona being the top two seeds going winless so far today. One of them is going to come out with the win. Got to wonder, Arizona had a lot of success early this season based on the zone you mentioned, Tyler. And it was only a matter of time that some teams were going to figure out how to throw it. We'll see here how if Arizona can adjust, because great teams and good teams will do that throughout the season, and you can't just rely on one look that they have. We'll see if Arizona's up for the task. Texas, on the other hand, was very surprising after their strong performance at warm-up to go down to 0-2 today. But have to give a lot of credit to Calvin Lynn, who's been there for a long time, head coach Calvin Lynn, who has made Texas a system team as opposed to a player-driven team. And you talked about it with Will Driscoll. He doesn't have to be the guy all the time. It can work well when he's the guy, and he'll step up when they need to, but he'll be more passive and let the system work itself out and use everybody on the team and the roles that they're built for.
That's absolutely true. I studied some of the game tape of Arizona, and what the story has been their zone, but what really impressed me was a lot of their offensive movement. They have depth of throwers across the board on offense, and they move well with each other. It's clear that they have a chemistry of spacing on the field. They're very willing to take inside break shots as well as around. They'll look deep. They'll see hammers. They don't have a very set system as much as they do a loose assignment of roles, or at least that's the way it looks. And it's a fun offense to watch. I'm excited to see how they play today. The wind is going to be a factor that's going to help play to Arizona's zone. Their zone is soft, and by that I mean rather than having a very hard mark or really being aggressive towards the disc, they play a little bit more conservatively. They pack people behind the disc, and they allow for shorter throws while making anything more than a small throw very, very either difficult or dangerous. This will be a fun one to watch.
And we're about to get started here. Texas to pull on defense to start things off. Will Driscoll is on the field. And we will get set here as we kick off the final game today on our schedule. Texas pulls. Arizona waits for it to come down. Setting up in a vertical stack. Immediately in front of the stack, busts deep. And help there, and putting it up early on. Arizona comes down with it 5 yards outside the end zone. Looking for the open receiver, Dixon.
That was an impressive hawk. The mark on that thrower, it was clear that mark was specifically chosen. He's huge. He's still able to get a nice big backhand off.
Play gets started here. Flip up the line for the no, not available, and that's a turnover. Arizona. Stevens clutching his head after that one. trying to toe the line, may have had more space to make the play, but Texas is going to take over. And Arizona goes immediately into a poachy zone look.
This man. I think that's one of the strengths of Arizona is, they do have a zone, but their man is smart. They have a lot of guys who played together for a long time, and they do play they have good positioning on defense, and it almost looks like a poachy zone look because they're willing to play off a little bit.
And across the field, and Arizona gets the D. That's Ham with the D. Stevens looking upfield, now trapped in the sideline, looking back for Dixon.
Good dump defense.
And then tosses it up, out to space, and a beautiful catch by Arizona. And we have a call on the play. Going up, and observer rules it up, and it's a goal. Arizona leads 1-0. Like you said, Arizona coming out a little bit unorthodox. They're throwing whatever they feel like throwing. It's going to be tough for this Texas defense. They're going to have to stay glued to their man and be ready for anything.
That's one of the strengths of a program that's built on chemistry rather than a system. You need the talent and really the right class coming through your system or through your program to build that chemistry that Arizona has. So you can have some up and down years rather than a system. But when you have that chemistry, it's very hard to game plan against because they could do anything. Like they're willing to do a whole lot of different looks. They don't have a thing that they do.
Texas coming out in offense.
The wind has died down substantially.
Arizona with a pull. Let's see if we get a look here at their zone defense. It's going to drift out of bounds.
The big story today has been teams' pulls. Whenever they get them in bounds, you increase the likelihood by a pretty substantial margin of getting a block, or at least forcing some turn.
We have this Arizona zone allowing everything back.
Arizona's zone has one man in the middle of the field, two on each side, and then in the middle behind the mark is number 2, actually facing oftentimes away from the thrower, taking away whatever threat is available. Behind him are 2 wings and 1 deep. So it's almost like a 1-2, 1-2, 1. 3 up front with a bit of a diamond shape in the back.
Texas here trying to spread them out.
Texas is putting themselves in a real tough spot, not giving the handler another dump option. They were able to man up on the dump and just had nothing else.
Swing pass here for Arizona, trying to move it along the end zone line. Inside break for the goal, and Arizona gets the first break of this game, going up 2-0.
That was just poor offensive spacing from Texas. They really stranded the handler. It seemed as if they gave him one dump. Arizona was able to play hard man D on that dump with poaches around him to make any shots to space difficult, and everyone else just went far away. Those you can't hit those.
Yeah, in this case, when you really have to be smart about attacking the zone, you have to get, Arizona's going to give you a free reset. They're going to make you go back a little bit, but you can use that to swing the disc around the field and then take your time to attack over the top, which is going to be available.
They're going to give you a free reset as long as you have more than one. Texas is going to have to adjust, otherwise Arizona's really going to run away with this game. It's another out-of-bounds pull.
It's almost as if they like that.
You can argue for that sometimes. It's nice. Some teams start better in motion than they do stagnant. And even giving up some of those yards, sometimes if you get a team to just start from a standstill, you're better off.
Here we go, Texas trying to figure out how to attack this zone. Driscoll is just sitting back in the middle of the field, looking for the scooper, and there it is. Moves it to the sideline. Texas is staying patient here, not trying to move it too quickly. Some teams try to confuse that when they attack zones by moving the disc short, successive passes. That fits right into the style that Arizona wants. Hitting Driscoll in the middle of the field.
That was a very successful job there. Number 2 on Arizona is standing in the middle of the field and often looks away from the thrower, and they can actually throw just directly by him when he's not aware of where the disc is.
Driscoll still surveying the field. Back for Klotz. The Masters. And a hammer over the top to the deep part of the end zone, and Texas navigates the zone with a couple of risky passes, but it works. 2-1, Arizona leads.
It's interesting that Arizona's zone often lulls teams into stagnancy, when in reality, if they had almost more movement around the disc, they would force Arizona to pick up a man, move them around, and space out for some shots. It's a very effective zone.
So far, we'll have to see if Arizona can keep it up or if Texas will solve the zone. Arizona has relied on it so much. We'll see if they go back to man. Texas with the opportunity to put the D-line on the field. Texas with the pull. That ends up hitting a tree out of bounds. So that will be brought in the middle just above our heads. Tyler, are you okay with that one?
It's a little frustrating when outside elements hitting things, but you also know they're there. The trees, it's not like the tree jumped out at them. Don't throw it at the tree.
Play starts. Arizona moving it quickly with a short field and throws a backhand out to space. A sliding grab made by Arizona. Crawford making the catch. 3-1, Arizona leads. And this pace of game, Tyler, just plays right into Arizona's hands. It's exactly what they want. With this soft zone, move a little quickly on offense, and kind of lull Texas to sleep.
That's very accurate. The other thing that I like from Arizona is their players' awareness of the spacing on the field. Twice now you've seen their end zone scoring coming from moving the disc to one side and then putting it to the opposite side of the field. They're very aware of how the defense is going to adjust to the positioning of the disc, and when it swings to that one side, they're going to overplay that side, put it to the other side of the field. It's a wide open throw. They've been a bit dicey, granted, but they're scoring with it.
Yeah, it's not only a wide open throw; it's a throw they're used to.
Exactly.
On teams with chemistry. Ham with the pull.
A much better pull.
Driving down the center of the field. Up to Klotz. And again, we see the zone pitching in a little bit here. Texas just taking time. Klotz. Bennett. using a lot of high releases. This one's going to float, come down with it. Clark. The Masters. Puts it through to Driscoll. This is the moment, though, where Driscoll should have an option to throw to. There's no continuation through this zone. It's great to be patient, but when you get Driscoll wide open field like that, he should have options to throw to.
What Driscoll's doing very effectively, I mean, one could say he looks lazy, but he's constantly finding the position on the field that makes a defender choose to either guard him or not. He's available to be thrown to.
Masters. Over to Klotz. Payne. Putting it through the Masters. Klotz. Tipped in the air. Almost a lucky D for Arizona. Around to Clark, finding his wing along the sideline, and Texas puts it in again. It's been 2 times in a row that Texas has solved that zone. 3-2, Arizona still leads, but you have to wonder how long they're going to stay in this.
Texas is being patient. If the wind picks up, though, I wonder what we're going to see. During that whole point, we could hear Texas coach Calvin Lim shouting instructions to his players about positioning, where to be, what to look for. It's very helpful to have a coach watching the play in between. You have to think that right now he's talking to the defense, but he's going to talk to that offense about what they need to do to continue to break down this zone. It's dangerous for a team like Arizona to stay in their zone for too long because teams do figure it out. Over the course of the game, you want to be able to vary your defenses a little bit and not allow an offense to get into a groove. It's at this point that I would consider going into a man, a hard man, or at least some junk into a man rather than just staying with your zone, because you'll get used to it. Teams will get in a rhythm.
We'll have to see how Arizona adjusts, but now they're back in offense, and Texas has decided to throw their zone of their own. Arizona may be comfortable moving through this. Trapping against the sideline, though.
This is a much different zone than Arizona runs. It's much more aggressive, really packing people in around the disc, forcing throws over to the top.
Schmallenberger making the catch, really trapping an active crashing by Arizona. Still trapped against the sideline, not trying to get it off. Lemet to Scuba over the top. Lean. And Arizona has gone through this zone. Texas trying something different now, still staying in it. Now transitioning. Arizona's able to swing it around for the goal. 4-2, Arizona leads.
It's a good possession by Arizona. You have to think that, their zone is good, and that's what they probably run at practice, so they're used to playing against zone defenses, regardless of whether they're slightly different versions of the zone. They're used to having the disc, moving it, looking for that man, and not just playing against a strict man-to-man.
Arizona did not look uncomfortable, although there was a forced throw near the sideline that the man had to come up with. Worked out for Arizona. We'll have to see here how Texas comes out. But first, we've had now 2 possessions in a row. Texas has fought through this Arizona zone. Time to find out what Arizona's answer is for the adjustments, or if they'll just continue to throw it. When you see teams that throw out of zone, you would like to think that they would have variations on little things they do, and after one team solves it one way, they would go and throw the next variation of it, keep it similar so it looks the same, and then bait them into it. But right now, Arizona still hasn't changed, so we'll see if there's any adjustments here. Texas has done a great job of beating it through the middle with Driscoll.
And Driscoll's posting up in the middle, able to receive it, never looking away from the thrower.
Up to Klotz. And we see man now from Arizona, and Texas throws that one in the ground, open receiver. And a timeout by Dixon. And we'll be right back to see if Arizona can keep the momentum alive. This is Next Gen Network's coverage of the 2013 Stanford Invite. Stanford Invite, I'm Brian Jones here with Tyler Kinley, part of Next Gen Network's coverage of the 2013 Stanford Invite. We've got a great game going on right now. Arizona facing off against Texas. Arizona the surprise so far at this tournament in terms of just getting here. We did not expect to see them at the start of the season. They threw a zone early, got a couple of breaks off of Texas, but Texas has solved the zone. And now Arizona has switched to man, Tyler, and they got the turn. Is that just Texas just not being in a rhythm?
It's hard to say. Sometimes mistakes happen, but that was a poor throw. It was too low for the receiver to make a good play on. He dropped it. And Dixon, number 3 here on Arizona, immediately called a timeout, knowing they want to score this one. They wanted to get in their right formation.
We got handler motion right off the bat. Dixon looking back, now throwing a floaty flick to space, and Texas reads it. It was that Driscoll over there.
I don't believe that was Driscoll, or was it? Yeah, that was a fantastic read. He read that play right from the start. It was an interesting play that you don't see very much. The B handler actually faking to come for a dump and going to that weak side for a pseudo up the line throw up the opposite line. And Driscoll just absolutely read it.
And Driscoll bombing it deep for Clark. Clark goes up, can't make the catch.
Good D from number 3, Dixon, who threw that throw that got blocked. I like that play that they ran. I think a lot of teams without an experienced defender like Driscoll are just going to get straight up beat by that. He was willing to come completely off his man, 35 yards across the field, completely, not fundamental D, but get the block.
Pass goes up for Arizona. Moving it down the field. Dixon for Schoonmaker. Inside break to Ham. Bennett almost comes up with a D. Clear. Back to Dixon.
Dixon's an interesting player. They're willing to just dump it to him constantly. Really trust him. He's got that cheeky high release flick. He'll throw with no real regard. It's fun to watch teams like this. They have a thing that they do it, and it's working.
They do it well, and they put this one up. And Texas is there, but Arizona comes down with it. 5-2. Arizona. Right now, the number 1 seed is in danger of going winless today.
After this game, we're going to have a talk with both UNCW and Tufts to hear how their game with Arizona went. This is the Arizona that we've seen successful earlier in the season, and I'm curious to know a little bit more about how they were beaten, what wasn't working. We'll talk with them, and we'll come back again tomorrow to talk a little bit more about that. But right now, Arizona, what they're doing is working.
If you're Texas, right now you got to come off an offense to score. But if I'm the defense, I'm taking away Dixon the next time on the field. I'm putting my best defender on him, and I'm denying him the disc as much as possible. And you know what? I think Texas here has to kind of regroup and just mentally get into the framework of you have to defend your guy at all points of time. You cannot let him go to the break side and be okay with it, because they're going to go and hit that. That's exactly how they're going to do. You can try to force them into a situation where you think normally you have the advantage, and Arizona's going to say, hey, we have this little cheeky throw that's going to get us out of it.
Arizona is right near our sideline here, and it's clear that this is their comfort zone. They know, they feel this is their game right now. This is their tempo.
The Masters over to Klotz to start things off, and we have another zone look from Arizona. Scuba over the top to Driscoll. It looked like they were ready for that one. You just see they're swarming, but now Clark is moving the disc. Texas moving it downfield.
What's interesting to watch Texas, they make some of the hallmark mistakes occasionally against a zone where they run away from the disc, not looking at it. Against a zone, you just always want to be seeing the disc.
And a nice hammer over the top. Driscoll was so relaxed. Bennett. Like the late Masters. Klotz. Fits it in for the goal. Texas has had no problem so far solving the zone. Well, after the first possessions. Arizona continuing to run with it.
What you're seeing as well is Arizona's tempo of the game is affecting Texas's ability to play with the energy and fire that I think they expect to on D. Texas is a team that'll get very athletic Ds, but when the tempo that they're facing on offense is so slow, it's hard to then increase the energy you have on the sidelines, really put that into a point when things seem to have been moving so slowly on their offensive points. It's interesting to see how that affects the entire game's movement and momentum.
And we got to think about, too, where they're coming in. Both teams are coming in 0-2.
Yes.
This is the end of a long day for a lot of teams. You're in your third game. And if you're mentally, you've got to be ready to play this type of team. You can just not give an inch because they'll take it. And this team will throw the stuff that you're not used to. So I have to wonder if Texas is going to have a polarizing moment where they just wake up.
I agree. They're gonna need it in this half. The pull finds its way in bounds this time.
See some fresher bodies here for Texas. Arizona gets things started in a host stack with one man underneath.
There it is.
And a huge Callahan for Texas. Boy, this one's coming back. Foul on the throw. Smith with the disc. Not sure about that one from the replay. There may have been contact.
Hey, lock them down here, boys.
Looks like this one's going to stay in Smith's hands. They met underneath. Putting it deep, line, flick huck, and caught downfield. Schoonmaker, or McClintock, excuse me. Play restarts, McClintock looking for the dump option, now going to look for an IO break to space. This one gets tipped in the air. Macked all around.
That hit his upline cutter in the face.
Driscoll looking back around. Texas trying to continue, and they can't get a break.
It's clear this is a later in the game, later in the day game for both teams. Each one walking to the disc, no one sprinting to the disc.
Putting a high release flick up to space and just over everybody's head, but Arizona comes down with it again.
You know, that's one of those throws that probably if you have a coach on the sideline, they're not going to like it, but it works enough for them that they're okay with it, you know? And no matter whether you think it's gorgeous or whether you think it's stupid, if it's working for them, it's working for them.
Just over the top, floating the space, high release flick. You get yourself in a stall situation defensively, you feel pretty good, and then that happens.
Yeah. As long as you have that as a game plan across the board, it can work, clearly.
That was Lynn coming down with it. Stephen Lynn. Pull from Arizona. Dixon pushing it down. And Masters up to Klotz. And another zone look from Arizona. This one a little bit different. Looks like a 2-3-1-1. Over the top, still hammers work for Texas.
One of Arizona's strengths in their zone is how active they are around the field. It's very difficult to figure out exactly where their players are setting up because oftentimes they're moving their positioning.
Texas able to put it in with ease. Arizona still trying to go with the zone, but they're protecting a lead. Arizona leads 6-4. Game planning isn't any different for Texas. You got to come out in hard man D, get their energy up, dig deep. Arizona, if you're Arizona, you do what you're doing right now.
Yeah, it's forcing a lot of tough looks. Oftentimes, teams will run a zone, and if it's scored on, they'll think, okay, it's been beaten. They figured it out. That's not necessarily the case. You know, every defense is about forcing the other team to do the most difficult thing, and even if your zone gets scored on, it can often be the best case scenario, you know, time and time again. A lot of, you know, Lou Burris says, force them to do their weakest thing because it's their weakest thing. I may be paraphrasing here. Sorry, Lou. But, you know, the point stands, even if they score on it, they're not forcing them to score in the toughest way possible still is your best option. For Arizona, that's their zone.
That's the way they do it, and so far it's given them this 2-point lead and a chance to take half. Here comes Texas. Clintock looking back for the dump, gets it off. This one going deep again, and big D by Texas, and just out of the hands of Smith, not quite there. 2 with the D for Texas. Back to Broberg.
This is where Texas needs that energy to be instilled.
Puts it up the line. Driscoll draws 2 people. There should be a man open underneath. They find him. Zanzen putting it deep for Clutton. Comes down with it for the goal, and Texas breaks.
He is a large person.
And there's a call on the play.
Oh, let's take a look at this one again.
As position goes over the top.
Does not look like a. It looks like Texas has that first clearly. Or a foul.
No foul on the play. And it's a goal for Texas, and we have ourselves a game. And the energy is there. We'll see if it can carry over to this next point.
It was interesting to see Texas run offense with that defensive unit. It was very, very clear that those near the middle or front of the stack were not doing the thing. They wanted to go deep. They wanted to get up line. They wanted to go deep. Anytime they dumped it, that swing was sort of occasionally glanced at, but they wanted to get it up line into a power position for the thrower, and they wanted to huck it. It was clear they wanted to huck it to number 4.
And they got him in that position. Driscoll doing a great job there, being passive, just still drawing 2 defenders.
Absolutely.
Let's go, D!
Arizona now receiving, and still a chance to take half, giving themselves a 2-point lead going into it.
Barely out of bounds pulls. Again, with the pulls. If a team could consistently put a pull into the end zone, time and time and time, even if it's not the most hang time, occasionally it's not perfect, you know, you're going to give yourself so many more break chance opportunities.
Here we go. We have Dixon on the field now for the offense. And we'll be playing D-line points, starts things off with a quick flip to the break side, and Arizona is prepared. You can tell this is something they've done in this pass, going high and deep. In Arizona, it's like they have a play memorized. It's worked so well for them.
Number 2, Ham, has been one of Arizona's go-to players. A true athlete. That was a fantastic read. You can watch him go deep here. The defense trying to get position, pushing a little bit, couldn't move him at all. Ham just maintained his position, went up strong.
And that's what happens when you're worried about defending the break side, and that's why marks are so important. And right now we have Arizona taking half, 7-5 over Texas. We'll see if Texas can mount a comeback and get back into this game. We'll be back in about 10 minutes. I'm Brian Jones for Tyler Kinley, Next Gen Network's coverage of the 2013 Stanford Invite. And you're looking live here in Stanford of the 2013 Stanford Invite. We've got an exciting game going on right now. Arizona leading 7-5. I'm Brian Jones here with Tyler Kinley. Arizona built this lead in the zone so far, and Texas has to get their energy up to come back in it.
Absolutely. We've seen Texas making some plays. I don't expect them not to, I guess. I think Texas has it in them to do it, especially since Arizona rode their zone the first half. Now Texas has seen it. They have an idea of what to do. Wouldn't be surprised if they could come back here.
Second half here brought to you by Elemental Technologies. They're the computing power behind Next Gen Network. Glad to have them here today with us to provide you all the streaming action. As we get back to the action here, Bennett with the disc.
Touch throw there. That's a tough throw.
Looking for the inside break. Finding Payne. Coming back for Masters, puts a space throw. Masters hammers over the top to Driscoll.
Good to see Driscoll start to step in a little bit here. It's clear that their offense is kind of slow, kind of stagnant. Driscoll's got to step up. He is a stud. He needs to play like it.
Driscoll definitely one of the better players in the country. Recently helping double wide to a national championship at the club level. Driscoll also playing for the Next Gen Tour. Play restarts. Driscoll finding Clark. Nicolay Masters. Still a vertical stack here for Texas.
We're seeing very little cutting here.
Texas still staying patient. This is one of the cause and effects of the zone. Sometimes you can see not fluid movement, but now we have the swing pass and Texas is getting more active. Payne underneath for Bennett.
Bennett's been a workhorse this point. He's been providing some of the most consistent getting open.
Now at front of the end zone. Texas looking for the dump. Finds Klotz on the line. Bennett coming in, gets the catch for the goal, and Texas brings this game within one.
Yeah, Bennett is really standing out at that point. He's one of the only that's consistently getting open here. Driscoll drifting about the field. Texas, it looks as if they're patient, but there's also just not a lot of movement at all. I mean, at some point, if you're defending one of those players in the stack, some of those players never, ever left the stack, literally just remained. And perhaps, that's Calvin Lynn's game plan, is that those guys stay there, and if they're poached off of, then they activate. But at this point, they're not activating at all.
Arizona was doing a good job there of poaching the foreside. Once they got to the latter half of the field, Texas did not really utilize the break side after the one hammer to Driscoll. With this win, it seems like Texas is shying away from making the inside break. They're playing tight, and that's also one of the things that's actually pretty good about being a zone team, is that you slow down the pace. It's not just that zone is all of a sudden tricky. If you throw it for the rest of the game, you will slow down Texas. You will make them play your style. You will have rest on your side too, as well as defense. You can put your stock into a few man possessions and try to go after it, but otherwise you can just rest in the zone.
It's very reminiscent of a soccer game where you just you play a few people going forward and just lump everyone behind your side, really staying between them and the goal. not taking a lot of risks, but really trying to capitalize whenever you get them.
Limit over to Lean. Smith. And we see a poach look here from Texas, leaving one of the handlers open. We're seeing Arizona navigate it. Lynn. Now a deep shot from Arizona, finding McClintock. And dish for the score. Arizona scores 8-6.
It's always funny. You know, a lot of people have very differing opinions on whether spikes are great or stupid or unnecessary or unspirited, but it's always interesting to see a spike come out of sort of a pseudo zone possession. It just seems so, you know.
Arizona, after Texas here slows the game down themselves, Driscoll gets beat looking, trying to bait the deep. This throw's right on target. McClintock puts it to Smith for the goal.
The energy on the sidelines for both teams is just nowhere near the level that we've become accustomed to here at the booth. You know, surrounded by the Hodags, who are just loud. UCF, they have a lot of energy from their sidelines. Then you get to these two teams at one of the last games of the day. It's quiet. People are tired. Not a lot of hands on knees.
The Masters up to Klotz. Arizona again in their zone. Scuba over the top to Driscoll. Texas just seems comfortable at this point. Klotz throws the hammer to the back of the end zone. This one floating. Caught for the goal by Payne. Texas remains within one.
This is strange because it feels as if the game, both teams on offense are playing as if they're ahead, it almost looks like. Whereas it's a close game, Texas is not ahead. You know, there's not a lot of activity after a goal. It's a slow game.
They're struggling to find their energy, to find their legs at the end of the day.
Yeah, this is a place where Texas, you know, as a sideline could really make a difference. To add energy onto the field by taking over the sideline, really owning that as their strength in this game. I don't see him doing it.
You talk about the Hodags. They're always making sure they're performing mentally at a high level, and that's by how loud they are. That's how their entourage, and they have all of their infamous Minnesota accent, Wisconsin accent, Hodag cheer.
Hodags.
And that's how they keep everything up, and it's intimidating, and it pumps them up, and it's important to keep that energy in the game because otherwise you're just kind of wading through a battle. And Texas has to pick it up here. And I think getting fresh lines on and playing hard D is going to get them in the right location. But throwing these zones against a team that knows how to play cheeky and kind of go through the style, I think is the wrong way to go about it. And here we see a man look.
Yeah, you'll notice we're not saying as much about Arizona. It's because they're winning. You know, if Texas were up, it'd be fine to not need it, but they need a change.
This one going up, and Driscoll's in the area and gets the D, just what Texas need. Lean putting it deep, and there's a foul call on the play.
I would like to see this one again.
Driscoll got
that one looked like Driscoll got all disc.
And it looks like Texas is going to keep possession.
That's a good call by the observers. That's one of the strengths of having observers at these games. They've gotten a lot of these calls very right.
Driscoll.
Just given the disc under.
Texas trying to work it up the field, still on the fourth sideline. They have not utilized the break side very well, despite being poached to the fourth side. You see the stack all the way over here, and finally they get the
very
safe.
good find. That's one of the finds that we've seen really important for any team today. Across the board at this tournament, when the disc is on the sidelines, the mark has consistently rotated to take away any dumps. What this takes away is the backwards dump to the first dump option. What it gives up is those inside looks.
Driscoll with the disc near the goal line. Looking for the around option.
There's that inside.
Finds it to Liu. Puts continuation in. Texas gets the break they need and ties it up. And now Arizona is hanging their heads after that possession. They're tired. If Texas can find the energy here, there's room to be gained.
Today is a test of Arizona's mental resiliency. They have gone through this regular season on a high, winning games, surprising opponents, probably surprising themselves with their results. This is a bit of a wake-up call of sorts for them, saying, you can't just do it all the time. You got to have a plan B, and this is a good time for it to happen to Arizona for them for the rest of the year. They have a lot of time to adjust. They have a lot of time to build on whatever they feel they need to build on. But if they go 0-3 today, that's a mighty strong wake-up call.
And it's exactly what they needed. It's interesting when you talk about early enough in the year. This seems really like the first weekend of the real college season. Everything else before this is kind of almost like a precursor. It's like non-conference play, almost in a way of college basketball works. You get to the Stanford Invite, you have Centex, you have Easterns, you have those 3 major tournaments, and that's the main part of the regular season. Then we finally get into sectionals, and for a lot of these teams here, sectionals or conference play, conference championships is going to be an easy opportunity for them to work it and still continue to improve.
Oh, wow.
Dixon snags it out of the air. Texas definitely upping their energy here on defense. Dixon's
one to pay attention to right now. We were just told that he's going to be their Callahan nominee. So the eyes are on him. Number 3 with the disc right now in the headband. He's been a key thrower, the reset for Arizona's offense.
And being called on the travel. No travel ruled by the observer. Stephen Hubbard, Leon with the disc. Lacey getting ready to streak deep. And as no regard did not put it, we've seen that backhand pass to the opposite side by Leon many times already this game.
Interesting. This is a quick pickup from Texas. I'm surprised by this because it seems like the rest of his team was expecting him to walk to it. That quick pickup is an immediate change in the tempo of the game.
Bennett looking for the inside break. Clutton goes deep. Now comes under.
Texas looks very comfortable right now.
The Masters finding Bennett. Clutton. For the around. Now throw to space. The Masters with the disc.
Yeah, I'm going to say I expect Bennett to help create this goal, whether it's to make a good strike cut, draw defenders, and get an inside look, or provide some sort of means of making that goal easy. Bennett's been a big difference maker, especially near the end zone line for Texas. Number 57 with the bandana headband thing.
The Masters looking up the line for Bennett. Too far. And sails out of bounds. Would have been a huge opportunity for Texas to take the lead.
I guess that's the power of the jinx, right?
Arizona now has to get their mojo back, and you can tell Dixon is tired.
Number 2, Ham is deep. He just wants that deep ball.
Lynn. Looking for Stevens. Stevens putting it deep for Smith. Oh, Smith goes up and grabs it.
That was a surprising catch.
Leon. It's a high release flick to space for the goal. Arizona retakes the lead, 9-8.
Wow, surprising catch there. I'd like to see that again on the replay if we can. I did not expect him to get it. The defender clearly had a good shot at it. It was a great play. Fantastic play right there.
High release flick to space, and this is
Very nice.
they have that throw.
They do.
They will throw it every time.
He has that throw. I think they know it's coming when he's got the disc in his hands. I wonder if we're going to see Arizona's zone here again. It's that three in the front with the diamond. And what's been so successful against it has been Driscoll just posting up, offering an option such that they either have to guard him or it offers another player to come into that space and be the option. They split that central defender, number 2, very nicely. The other piece is he's so tall that the ground that they usually make up on other people, they can't because he's able to get the disc at such a high point.
And boost this one out the back of the end zone. Texas will get it in good field position.
Arizona looks like they're in a man again. This will be a bit of a test of their legs here.
Finding Clark underneath. Bennett streaking deep.
Instantly, you can see Texas's offense looks a lot more comfortable in this.
The energy they're displaying too. Bennett putting this deep for Driscoll. Driscoll runs it down just outside the end zone. Driscoll. Scuba over the top for the goal, and Texas ties it up. You can just tell that the energy level for Texas is rising throughout the last several points.
Agree, completely. I'm going to say Bennett's been the player of the game for Texas so far. On both sides of the disc, he has been getting open. He's been running. He's been providing that spark that they need.
9-9, game to 13. Both squads have to dig deep to finish the day.
It's just such a stark contrast from this game to any other of today. It's quiet. Even though plays are being made, there's no exuberance or noise on the sideline at all whatsoever. Will Driscoll, we talked about him not stepping up in other games that we may have expected him to. In this game, he's been making plays. Here he is getting that D. A nice scuba to space.
We talked about earlier, Tyler, about how he was playing so well in that soft zone. He was finding the pocket and then waiting for another cutter to come in to take away.
Yeah, splitting the defender.
Splitting the defender, taking him off, finding that space and just staying there. And whether it be scoopers over the top, hammers, or just through the cup. Here we go. Texas coming down in man defense. Vertical stack again for Arizona. Leon continuing on the sideline. Smith now looking back, not available, throws the inside break, and there's a turnover for Texas. They're going to have the opportunity to break.
That was a surprising turnover. Watching Arizona, I saw them break the mark consistently at the front of the stack so often. Here they just are making uncharacteristic mistakes.
Vertical stack for Texas. Liu. Broberg. Liu. Putting it deep for Driscoll. Driscoll has to run this down and attack it. And a huge diving layout D. Driscoll's going to call the foul. Not sure that Driscoll had position. We'll see here on the replay.
I'll be very surprised if that's ruled a foul. Oh, he ruled it. Looked like he said he had it. I'd love to see that one one more time. I think he's saying he had it.
Going to call a strip. It looks like Driscoll might have an actual case for that.
Those are the ones where you just can't tell if he actually stopped rotation, if he had it. I'm sure he thinks he did. That's,
That's close there, and that snapshot, it's very difficult to tell.
That was quite a play.
This pass goes up, floating in the air, big bid for it, and Texas gets it right back. Chance to take the lead.
Texas. This is a big one for Texas.
They have not led yet. Driscoll for the easy option. Arizona poaching very well. And a flip up in the air, and Texas is up 10-9, first time this game.
You know, Texas's dumps have been very, very good. There's never been a dump where it looks really questionable. And I remember that being the case for Texas all the way back to when David Melancone was playing in 05, 06. He was one of the first ones that just every time he could get a dump at ease, and it seems to have carried throughout the system. And in part that just may be their system, but it's very effective. And when you have a dump set in college that's consistent and dangerous like that, it adds a whole new element and foundation to your game.
After this game today, we will be done, but pre-quarters is coming up, and we'll determine part of the bracket. Kind of looking across the pools, Pool A, Carleton looks like they're going to be projected to be the winner of that, forcing Oregon and perhaps Stanford to play in pre-quarters. Wisconsin has won Pool B. Pittsburgh surviving North Carolina in a game 14-13 over them to win the pool. North Carolina will be forced to play a pre-quarters game. So this day isn't over yet for some people. Whoever wins this game, they think they're tired now. They got one more after it. Texas, winner of this game, will go on to play pre-quarters.
It's a long day.
Dixon being forced backhand. Leon.
That was strange. It looked as if the force was backhand, but may have supposed to have been forehand. A lot of the downfielders looked out of position on that one. This is Bryce Dixon coming in, their Callahan nominee.
Into the dump, flips it upfield. Scuba dump. Not quite the no look, but it suffices. Lacey. Moving it to Smith.
Now this is a much more fun offense to watch. This is a game that's fun for fans and players alike.
Lacey. Ham. Spallenberger. And Leon can't come down with it.
The story of Arizona's second half has been good ultimate, good ultimate, good ultimate, just barely missing. Some sort of skill mistake, whether it's an inside out that goes outside in and turfs, or whether that's just a little too low of a throw. Their system is working well, but their execution is suffering.
The timeout on the field. Texas is going to have an opportunity to break. Right now they lead 10-9. And we'll be right back to see the conclusion of this game. This is Next Gen Network's coverage of the 2013 Stanford. We're back here as Texas is trying to convert in another break opportunity, just taking the lead 10-9 over Arizona. I'm Brian Jones here with Tyler Kinley, 2013 Stanford invite here at Next Gen Network. So far, Arizona built a lead early on in this game based on their zone, kept it for a while. Their offense was still cruising. Everything was working, and now lately Texas has gotten the turnovers they need and has gotten the lead they need.
That's true, and you've seen it's just Texas's consistency throughout the game. Their system is working well. Arizona early on relied on their zone. It got them some breaks. Now they've switched out of it, and Texas looks a lot more comfortable. It did have Texas uncomfortable a bit. It caused some turnovers, but now Texas has it figured out. And it draws into question when Arizona wants to use that zone in future games.
Texas is able to get the safety valve off and swing the disc. Arizona being really active. You can tell that they're not just playing their man, they're looking around and trying to figure out where everything's coming from. And we have a pick called on the play.
Texas has consistently run a vert stack. They have cuts coming from the back. Oftentimes it's Bennett and here number 4.
Clutton.
Consistent dumps.
Now to Driscoll. Driscoll fakes, gets called for a travel.
That's the strength of a good balanced system, is that any team that goes in playing Texas is going to know exactly what they do, but they do it well enough that you can't stop at everything.
coming up the sideline, and we have a call on the play. Looks like a fast count.
You were talking about zone adjustments before, and this is one where it was clear Will Driscoll was making them pay. Now, they have a loose enough zone where you'd almost expect them to be able to run their normal zone and add one man on Will Driscoll.
It'd be true. That would be something, an adjustment worth trying. Here, Texas is still running around in the vert, and we have a call on the play. Play restarts, and a D from Arizona, Schmallenberger. Dixon looking deep, and this one's tipped in the air. Arizona comes down with it.
Oh, I highly think that was down. Personally, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but we'll see. Let's take a look at that replay.
This is an instant referral to the observer, so we're going to have a ruling fast. This is being ruled
as down. Kinley says that's down. I may have it overruled, but
the observers could not come to a conclusion, and it's their ruling, so it's going to come back now. Looks like that one via the replay was down.
Referring to people in the booth, they agree that was down. And, well, that one's down.
That one's, this never lies, Tyler.
Never say that. Never, ever.
Driscoll. Bennett snags it out of the sky. Again, 10-9 here. Clutton now, movement from Texas. Opportunity to break.
Oh, Texas is starting to have a lot of energy from their stack. Everyone's cutting.
Your illegal marks are really evident here from Arizona. They're still being active, still have some of the energy left. Dixon's playing very soft defense on that dump.
They need these swings.
Broberg puts it up the line. Available, just too far for Texas.
Both Texas coaches just seeing that missed opportunity, holding their heads. Calvin Lim, Stephen Presley over here, both just disappointed that that wasn't converted.
Arizona gets another shot.
This is just a battle of attrition here. Who can make less mistakes? Both teams are gassed.
This dump is floaty, and Broberg's there. Can't come down with it. There was some contact.
Gonna see a foul call, I'm sure, here.
So the observer will give it to him too if that comes down to it.
That's a foul committed on number 3, Bryce Dixon. We'll see what he can do with the disc here. He's been a very strong handler for them. Very consistent break throws.
We'll call on the play and stoppage here. 10-9, Texas leads. Again, Arizona started things off with a zone. They went up by 3 points. Were able to carry that lead towards halftime. Texas has battled back to take the lead with freshman defense.
Here we're seeing Will Driscoll say the disc shouldn't be walked up. It appeared that Bryce Dixon on his foul picked up the disc, and I think he looked like he walked the disc up to the front of the end zone, which in this case it seems Will's right. That should not occur. Maybe he was putting the disc into play where the foul occurred, but that's what we're seeing right here.
Broberg forcing backhand, and around flick, Schmallenberger. Texas playing very tight now on defense. They haven't let up one of the cheeky throws in a while. And it's when you're facing a team that has this much chemistry like Arizona, and when they're used to doing weird things, once you force them out of that situation, hesitation starts to creep in. And we'll really see here the mental fortitude of Arizona, how well they can play their game when they're not used to it. And there's an overthrow right there, leading to another Texas opportunity to break.
It's absolutely true. The fatigue is starting to take its toll in execution for Arizona.
Angled stack from Texas goes back to Broberg. Looking for an opportunity. Driscoll now cutting from the front of the stack, and Bennett comes down with it on the sideline. Texas not doing a very good job of swinging it. Too many people crowded around the disc. Hammer goes up.
That's
Driscoll.
a great throw.
Texas still staying patient. Now looking for the inside break. That's the type of movement they need for the continuation. And just behind his receiver. Could have thrown the around.
That was not a good throw.
And timeout by Arizona. Arizona definitely gassing this point. Texas is more frustrated with themselves. But let's look back at this possession. Texas has so far, and I'm not sure that it's Arizona's defense, but it's their own spacing right now in the vertical stack where they're not clearing out the backside. Nobody's cutting up line, clearing that space for the around throw to space, allowing the continuation to the break side.
I would agree. They're also throwing some tough shots. That inside shot, it had to be either far to the break side, to space. It was thrown to the player rather than to the space that they were attacking. And earlier we saw an up line throw that just was thrown. They're tougher than they need to be, essentially.
I think that as we come back to that too, that breaks down from the way that their offense isn't operating, that they're standing still, they're stagnant, they're not moving the disc, they're not flowing. And so all of a sudden, those opportunities look better. 10-9 though, Texas leads. I'm Brian Jones here with Tyler Kinley. This is Next Gen Network's coverage of the 2013 Stanford Invite. We had a really great game earlier today. We had Carleton win 15-14 over Oregon, two teams we expect to be in the mix for the national championship.
Just a barn burner. We could easily see them in the finals tomorrow in a rematch.
It would be incredible to watch once again the athletes on both sides, the skill, the speed of the game. Just incredible to watch. Arizona, again, the surprise team. Nobody expected them to be here at the start of this year, except maybe themselves. And here comes the huck, and Schmallenberger's wide open. Bennett trying to give chase. Bennett almost gets there.
Interesting. I don't know if we can watch that again. You'll watch Bennett's running this down, and number 2, Ham. It's clear he just runs right in front of him. Not right in front of him, but he definitely does not help his route to the disc.
Call on the play.
I'm curious if that's what the call was.
Didn't look like there was anything worthwhile on the video replay to suggest that, but nonetheless, we'll do it again, and Arizona still scores, and after all this, we're at 10-10. Winner of this game has to go on to play pre-quarters. Otherwise, the loser's eliminated. And we're talking about the 4 and 5 seed of this tournament. After all, revisiting that pool, Tufts and UNC, both teams going 2-0, while Texas and Arizona coming in winless.
It really shows how not representative of, the actual level of teams that early season is. The first rankings from the USA Ultimate came out this Wednesday, and I saw a lot of the talk, as it is every single year about how stupid it is, how terrible they are. Well, I think early season, you can't trust them at all. You might as well just not release them, because all it does is create people talking, and they aren't representative at all of what's actually going to shake out.
But you know what? That's what's almost good about it too. Is it makes the regular season have importance, and you can see where if these teams don't shape up, if they don't come out with the wins, the rankings are going to remain that way.
That's true.
And we know when the season goes on that you'll have the two coasts eventually play each other, and that's where the rankings are going to do their best. But early on, it's exciting. It's exciting to see those potential teams. UNC very highly ranked, Arizona very highly ranked, and they get a high seed here, and we get to see the upsets happen. And we'll get to see if Arizona can survive this game. Again, it's 10-10. Arizona coming out here, not taking seizing momentum. They have an out-of-bounds pull.
Again, that's something that I would attribute to fatigue. When the body starts to wear out a little bit, really, full body pulls, they begin to get tougher and tougher as things are tired.
Klotz coming back for the Masters. Driscoll going deep. Flick out to
It's gonna be a
space.
tough one.
And Driscoll runs it down. 11-10. Texas leads.
That was a good battle of these teams. Probably their top talent. Ham, just a stud athlete for Arizona, and Driscoll, you know, Texas's main receiver.
Shows how much trust Texas has. The Masters just put that one out to space.
Absolutely.
Driscoll wasn't even going at first. Didn't really look like he was making a half-hearted cut.
I'd like to see Trey LeMasters step up this game a little bit more, too. I think be a little more aggressive. I liked that shot. I'd like to see him be a little more aggressive with his legs and really, really take over a little bit on offense. That may be outside of the system, so perhaps that's part of why we don't see it as much. But he's a very skilled player. You know, he could make his case for being one of the top handlers in the nation. We just don't see it very much right now.
Texas is almost a perennial nationals team. They had their best year in 2009 with Stephen Presley, known as Franchise, taking over there.
One of the coaches for the team right now.
He was an incredible player to watch.
Absolutely.
Now Texas, they missed out on the next year in 2010, but we're back in 2011 and 2012. This ball comes in 11-10 Texas, and this one's going to go out the sideline. Arizona has to take it.
Arizona's not in a good position here.
And looks like he may have drawn a contact call. Still in the end zone, now looking for the throw. Leon comes up with it and puts it deep immediately to McClintock. Broberg is nowhere near him.
Great
Smith
throw.
and dishes it for the score. Arizona escapes. It looks like certain doom.
That was a great, great backhand.
Release point two is high release. And
the funny thing is, you know, that's one of those things you certainly notice here, that he's thrown that high release, but I'm not sure he's thrown anything but that. I think that's just the way he throws his backhand. It's not a trick shot, you know, as it would be for some other people.
Doesn't have to move very much. Very quick release too.
That's true.
It's hard to see as a mark. You see a lot of people with big backhand lineups. 11-11, Texas, Arizona. Winner moves on to pre-quarters. We have not seen that staple of Arizona's defense, the zone. They haven't shown it for a while. It's 11-11. You need to break to win. Texas has the advantage right now. I wouldn't be surprised to see it yet again.
That's true.
Centers the Klotz. Vertical stack for Texas. Driscoll has played so many points, and he's yet on the field yet again. Bennett now trying to come underneath.
Bennett is just a workhorse.
Finding Driscoll along the sideline.
That's close to being out.
Driscoll looking for the around, gets it off to Bennett. Need to continue to use that safety valve in a way, open it up. And they do, they find LeMasters. Masters taking his time finding Clark. The Masters back to Clark. Again to LeMasters, not much movement here, and then they put it out to space for Driscoll. Has to run it down. Driscoll's can't come up with it.
You know, I asked for it, I'm getting it. You know, Driscoll's really stepping up his game. That was a little out of his reach, but he's made himself the option for downfield tougher shots. I like that.
Movement by the handlers kept it going for Texas, but there really wasn't any available cutting options.
Not much from the stack in terms of options. Oftentimes there's one, at most two options before another jump.
Dixon launches it deep, and many players around this one. Oh my
wow.
goodness.
Number 2, Ham just bursts into the air for
Flips
that
it
one.
for the score, 12-11. And Arizona, here we go.
This is what Arizona's been waiting for. This could be the game right now because Arizona's got they're psyched. This is the first time they've rushed the field. This is the first time we've heard even a peep out of their sideline. And John, goodness, that was a catch.
Flip for the score, and Arizona's up 12-11.
He gets off the ground well before anyone has even thought about jumping.
But even so, great credit. But where's Texas there? Where's the swarm there? Where's putting a body? Where's getting involved?
Yeah, that's a good point. But they were there. There weren't bodies there. They just weren't putting enough of a body into it.
I think there were about 4 Arizona players to the 2 Texas, so they were on the horse.
True.
And that's the style Arizona plays, though.
Exactly. They're all ready for Bryce Dixon to bomb that shot.
Right now we have a game to 14. The soft cap has gone off, but if Arizona scores here, it's for the game.
What do you think? We're going to see the zone? I would run it.
I would definitely have confidence.
Absolutely.
You've got the 12-11 lead now.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the lead. You can take a risk.
And no one is comfortable throwing the same percentage shots at game point. You don't want to be the guy that turned it over, so you dialed things back.
And here we go.
It's man. They're coming down man. And they're running down hard. This is an energized, momentum-filled Arizona team. This will be a fun point to watch. Bryce Dixon, the Callahan nominee, guarding the back of the stack. Number 9 looks like you can expect him to come under.
Clark, Driscoll. Now we've got Flo on the 4th side. Driscoll to Bennett, putting it out to space. And Clark comes down with it, and we've got ourselves a 12-12 game. Again, Cap is on at 14. Next point will not be the winner unless we get to 4:15, which will be the hard cap.
Arizona needs to stop Bennett. Bennett is just crushing them downfield. He is everywhere.
(12-12). Winner moves on to pre-quarters. Arizona comes out in the zone in Texas for the first time in a while. Looks good in offense. They were able to just.
They just ran down the sideline.
They had the good timing. They had good flow.
It looks like Arizona is very good at playing hard, but not very good at making smart adjustments. I mean, they're not saying, we want to take away the under and play deep, or we want to take away the deep and play under. They're just playing D. I don't see them making strategic adjustments based on what Texas is doing. I just see them playing the same thing over and over. And while it gets them turned sometimes, it doesn't dial in the pressure. You know, the vice never gets tighter.
Arizona, an opportunity to hold here and keep and trade out for the win. Now they've got the advantage since their last break. Texas puts on a fresh defensive line. In the meantime, McClintock to Smith. And a side stack look for Arizona. First time all game long. Leon Crawford looking deep.
Uh-oh.
This one's floating. Texas underneath it. And Ham comes down with it yet again.
Not Ham, I don't believe.
Not Ham. Either way, Arizona scores to go up 13-12.
Arizona just keeps rolling the dice and coming up with it. They're doing it well. I actually am a big fan of the way Arizona plays. Whenever they get around a mark, they oftentimes get 3 to 4 consecutive strung together passes up that break side or force side, whichever it is. They're very well timed for each other downfield. It's nice to watch a good offense like that. You don't see a lot of college offenses really stringing together that many passes in a row, playing that fluidly.
And here we go. Game point for Arizona. Texas must hold here. Either way, if you're Texas, that's the type of pass you wanted. You had an opportunity to get under it, and that's 2 consecutive possessions.
I think if I were to put my best defender on anyone, it would be Bennett. I think he's the one that has just been the absolute workhorse. He's getting open consistently. He's providing, you know, the release valve with his legs. Throw Ham on him. This is the first time we're also hearing cheers come out of Arizona. They're pumped for this point.
Dixon.
A very good pull. The story of today's pulls have been if they're deep and in the end zone, you increase your likelihood of getting a block just by a massive margin.
And here we go. Here's the zone from Arizona. Game point. Driscoll standing in the middle of the field. Bennett's got space. Resetting the disc, taking their time. Driscoll drawing nearly 3 defenders at any given point as Texas tries to navigate the zone. A nice throw to space. Clark finding the Masters. Texas easily resetting the disc, scanning the Masters, throws the hammer, and there it is for Arizona.
Huge block.
And they have to go right now. Dixon, Lacey. Dixon looking for the deep shot, puts it up. Here it is for the game.
This is Ham.
Ham comes down with it for the game. Arizona wins over Texas, 14-12.
That's a tough loss to swallow.
Texas takes the shot. You don't want to be the person to throw the hammer on game point. And they threw right into the teeth of the Arizona defense, and Ham, he's going ham.
So good at using his positioning on that one.
Dixon to Ham for the win.
A very strong receiver.
Arizona going to be a tired team, has to go into pre-quarters. Texas, the 4th seed in the tournament, finishes 0-3.
That's a tough one. You know, the Texas has a system that they can get better with. There's a lot of pieces that they can tighten up, but their system's not broken in any way. I think Calvin's going to look at today and come away from it thinking, okay, we have work to do, yes, of course, but it's not impossible to do that work. Arizona, same story. I think, you know, if they add a couple more looks, they can increase their success rate on both O and D. On D, they need to dial in a little bit better. On O, I actually like their O. I think they need to have some more fitness in order to get a little bit more consistency on their get those execution errors out of there. But both teams look like they can get the progress they need over the course of the season.
If you're Texas after this game, you've got to feel like you didn't have the energy to put it away. And if you look back on it, you can think about all the results, but they didn't come with energy until the later part of the game. And then Arizona got one big play and it was matched. Arizona came right back into it.
That's a great point.
And so mentally, you've got to think that they're going to regret a little bit how they prepared themselves. And it's tough after a long day at Stanford. So,
and then to go home tonight, you're tired and say, well, we got to have more energy tomorrow. It's a tough task, but it's the right time in the season to have a wake-up call.
Yeah, and for both of these teams, they're going to continue on. Tufts and UNCW win the pool. Arizona's moving on to pre-quarters. And that's going to do it for the rest of today. I'm Brian Jones for Tyler Kinley. Thanks for joining us. This is Next Gen Network's coverage of the 2013 Stanford Invite.